Hello and welcome to the channel. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. So we all know that our dear President Trump has increased the tariffs for um, Canada as well as Mexico. So that's going to affect everything. We have seen the price of goods that's coming out of those two countries skyrocket. The price of eggs is ridiculous. Thank God we don't consume a lot of eggs in my home, so we are good. But that doesn't mean we don't consume other things that comes out of Canada, like syrup and all that other stuff. But the main things here that people are going to be hurting on is cars. Cars are mainly made in Mexico. There may be some manufacturers that own certain uh, amount of factories here in the States. Like Honda, for an example, has a factory in, I think it's in Ohio, if I'm correct, Ohio. And then you have Ford that's built most of their cars in Mexico and ships them to the United States. You have BMW as well, also makes certain cars in Mexico. You have, you know, um, certain cars from Chrysler. A lot of cars are made in Mexico because it's just cheaper that way. The cost of the hourly wage is substantially lower than ours, so it's more beneficial for them to make those cars over there for dirt cheap so they can maximize their profits. But now that the tariff is going to be taking effect pretty soon, so now the cost for them to import those cars that are made in Mexico or made in Canada, which is certain Honda uh, models are made in Canada. So I don't know. The price is going to go up. It's crazy enough that the prices are going higher and higher for these vehicles. On top of that, interest is an all-time high. People are defaulting in their loans. So all these crazy things that are happening right now in the market, and it's just a terrible, terrible time for consumers and certain businesses that do business in these two states. But anyway, let's get to it. So 47 cars made in Canada and Mexico could see a major price hike. It's not just prices and tariffs, could also slash North America's vehicle production by 1/3, causing a major supply chain issues. Oof. So let's get into the article. New tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports could drive up costs by 25%. Analysts predict increases from 4,000 for small cars to 12,000 for electric vehicles. So if you are in the market to purchase any of these vehicles, especially if they're made in Mexico, go ahead and just buy that shit right now, because in a few months from now, the price is going to skyrocket. It's crazy because a couple of years ago during the pandemic, when there was a shortage in supply chains, most manufacturers or dealerships themselves were putting these crazy amount of markups on their vehicles. But now those vehicles are literally rotting in their dealerships, which is, it's well deserved. You guys fucking did this, okay? You guys wanted to charge these ridiculous fucking markups on top of the cars already expensive as hell. Because when I did a couple of markup videos where I think the Land Cruiser was going for like $72,000, and then a dealership would add another 20,000 markup on top, which is just absolutely lunacy. But people were buying them, and now they're stuck with those shitty ass loans. And yeah, you're fucked. If you're planning to buy a new car in the near future, prepare to pay a lot more. 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, announced by President Donald Trump this week, are set to make your next car purchase significantly more expensive. These tariffs could hit your wallet with the force of speeding Dodge Ram. I get it. But that's not the only thing, too. It's going to affect pretty much everything from our food to pretty much most electronics that are coming to the United States. So expect certain graphics card, it's going to go up in price significantly. I mean, they're already expensive as it is. They're nowhere near the price that the manufacturer suggests. $550 for a fucking 5070, good luck. you're paying at least $700 to $800 for that graphics card. But that's not the only thing too. It's just overall cost is just going up. And it gets worse too depending on the state that you're in. Automotive manufacturing isn't a simple affair. It's a tangled web of parts crossing borders, getting swapped around, occasionally bumping into a custom agent. The complex supply chain means car parts travel between the US, Canada, and Mexico multiple times before the final vehicle is assembled, with tariffs now slapped on parts and vehicles crossing those borders. Manufacturers are scrambling to adjust. Who pays the tariff? It's us, of course. As a result, several popular models will see a production cost rise. Contrary to what you might have heard, tariffs are not paid by manufacturers or exporting countries. Instead, they're essentially a tax on imported goods. The cost is passed down the supply chain to consumers. Yay! We love getting taxed more. Yay! Meaning you'll end up paying the tariff at the dealership. Even vehicles assembled in the United States won't be safe, as many of their parts come from Canada and Mexico. They're subject to the same tariffs. Oof. Yep, here we go. So vehicles manufactured in Canada and Mexico. BMW, 42.7% of its US lineup is made domestically. BMW 2 Series Coupe is made in Mexico. M2 Coupe is made in Mexico. BMW 3 Series is made in Mexico. Ford, 78% of its US lineup is made domestically. Ford Bronco Sport, Ford Maverick, Ford Mustang Mach-E, and Ford Mustang GTD. General Motors, 47%. So you got the Blazer EV, Equinox EV, Silverado HD is made in Canada, Sierra is made in Mexico, and the Turan is made in Mexico. We're talking about Honda. 58% of its US lineup is made domestically. Honda CR-V Hybrid, that's made in Canada. And the Civic sedans are made in Canada. And I believe the Civic hatchbacks, those are made in America, in the Ohio plant. As well as the Civic Type R's engine, that one is also assembled here, if I remember correctly. I could have sworn I did a story on it a while back. HRV is made in Mexico. Honda Prologue is made in Mexico. Acura ADX. So look for an increased price on the Civic, the CR-V Hybrid, as well as the HRV, except the ones that are made in Japan. Hyundai Group, 38% of its US lineup is made domestically. So you got the Tucson, Santa Fe, but not all imported from Mexico. The Kia K4. Mazda is only 20%. It's Mazda CX-30 and the Mazda 3. Mercedes-Benz is 36%, which one is that? Mazda. Okay, we got the Mercedes-Benz. So only one model that's made in Mexico. Nissan has 45%. And I believe like most of Stellantis' vehicles are made in Mexico, except for the Charger and the Chrysler Pacifica, which is made in Canada. I wonder why the quality is so poor on that vehicle. But then again, it's the design. It's the design. Who designed it, right? And of course, you have Toyota, which is the Tacoma is made in Mexico. The RAV4 Hybrid is made in Canada. Lexus NX is made in Canada, and the RX is made in Canada as well. VW Group, 27%. So you got the Jetta, the Taos, Tiguan, and the Audi Q5. So brace yourself for price hikes. Yay! Which is crazy because I've been watching a lot of videos online about how people can't afford these vehicles for what they paid for it. It's crazy because now they're actually giving discounts because nobody's buying vehicles because people are defaulting on their loans. So, you know, financial institutions are making it a little bit harder for people to finance vehicles because if people aren't really paying their monthly costs, so they have to be more, you know, they have to go like go into more like detail to protect themselves. They have to check everything, make sure that you can actually afford the payments in order for them to accept your loan. So there's a high chance of people, getting declined certain car loans. And if you do get accepted for certain car loans, now you're getting fucked on interest rate. They're gonna get you. They'll get you one way or another. They're gonna find a way to get you. And I just, like I said, I've been watching a ton of video and just people just defaulting on loans, or they taking out, or they got like crazy amount of debt on a fucking car. Like, why did you get that car? I've seen a video where she got an interest rate of 38% on a 2015 Camaro, and she was paying almost $1,000 a month, which is just absolutely insane. So it's just tons and tons of videos like that. And the fact that these vehicles are going to get way more expensive, they're just going to continue to rot at the dealerships, because nobody's going to pay almost 40 grand for a fucking Civic. If it's not a Type R, don't talk to me. But that's just me. Let me know in the comments. As always, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next video.